Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez.
I'm Robert McNeely. Happy Monday morning well, I guess it is the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's still the morning if you're on the West Coast. Thanks for joining us. Bit of a cloudy, rainy day over that Emerald Isle of the White House. Of course, it's still Irish American Heritage Month. We hope you had a great weekend watching some March Madness, round of 64 into 32. Now we're down to the Sweet 16, and some of the coaches making some big news, like Bruce Pearl. I mean, doing an amazing job talking about bringing the remaining hostages home. So thank you for those who are really standing up for their American principles, whether that be in sport, pop culture, whether that be in your everyday life. And I know that some of you are running for office with your municipalities coming up here. April 1st, a big election day upcoming. So make sure you get out there and vote. But so much going on in the good old US of A.
Exactly. And a lot of people, of course, picking the Auburn Tigers to win that national championship. We'll see how it goes. But I know you joined us for politics. So here we go. Let's get started on this Monday, March 24th, another week of winning and making America great again. So on tap for today, a number of events. All right, so at 2 o'clock Eastern time, the great governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, will meet with President Trump. That'll be quite awesome to watch.
Oh, absolutely. He's done a star-studded job coming out early in his governorship as well. You know, it's been an interesting state down in the Cajun state with the transferring of power between Democrats and Republicans. You have more of a conservative Democrat party down there, and will be interesting to see the two of them together. We've seen the governors really active with President Trump as well. 60-plus days in office now, President Trump really bringing that federalism back to constitutional principles and practices. Of course, we know that the Department of Education is coming to an end with that executive order last week. So music to the ears of governors like Jeff Landry, who was in the room for that signing.
Exactly. And from now until then, we'll have a live interview at 1:30. We'll have one around 2 o'clock as well. But also later today, it's Greek Independence Day. There's a celebration at the White House at 3 o'clock. So that'll be at the East Room of the White House. Looking forward to seeing that. And I was thinking earlier, do I like baklava more? Do I like the gyro more? I don't know. I like them both.
Yeah, it's really fun to find. There's a little bit of Greek influence in my family, some Greeks who married in. So we have a lot of fun. If you've seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding, so the Italian side and the Greeks will argue about who invented what when, and it's a blast.
It is a blast. It's a great movie, but it's awesome to see today. Greek Independence Day celebration at the White House. So we'll be seeing that a little bit later. Again, I'm Matthew Alvarez alongside Robert McNeely. Thanks so much for streaming in with us on this Monday, March 24th. I mentioned something on Truth Social over the weekend that got some love. Donald Trump is the George Washington and Thomas Jefferson of our time. Your thoughts?
I 100% agree with you, Matthew. I agree so much I could barely get that out of my mouth just there. So it's really very true, because if you look at our first four presidents, founding fathers, a gentleman now, President Trump, wanting to bring those principles back into the American ethos. And you've seen the Oval Office as it continually gets redesigned by President Trump. So much gold. The FIFA World Cup sitting there as well, getting ready for those competitions to be headlined in Atlanta, Georgia. But also the Declaration of Independence now has its home in the Oval Office. They have to cover it and shield it because certain light at certain times can cause damage. But this president really believes deeply in our founding principles nearly 250 years ago that enshrined a new nation, a new constitutional republic that has changed Western civilization and the whole world as a whole.
Exactly. How awesome is that to see the Declaration of Independence in the Oval Office? Awesome moment there. President Trump saying he was looking over at it one time, almost tearing up to see that that's in there. And that is that document, that and the Constitution, of course. The great documents of our land. So it's 1:05 Eastern. Let's go to a few of our great sponsors here at Right Side. Let's go to colonialmetalsgroup.com. Colonial Metals Group. Actually, it's freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Of course, a great company that we have a sponsorship with.
Oh, outstanding news, too, because certain things are coming down now. You're already seeing that Trump effect with the economy after 4 terrible years of Biden-flation. So eggs are coming down, other things that are just very costly at the grocery store or at the gas pump slowly coming down. But regardless, you must take care of your retirement, and your best bet against inflation, gold and silver, those tangible metals. So scan that QR code now or go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. You'll find out all the information that you need to protect you and your family from those crazy bills or those big investments like a retirement, like sending your kid to college as well. Again, freegoldguide.com/RSBN.
Let's shift over to Tax Network USA, 800-357-1415. You see the website as well, tnusa.com/RSBN. Another great sponsor here, but they provide a wonderful product. At the end of the day, having that financial peace of mind when you're trying to settle back taxes, you have a patriotic group like Tax Network USA.
Oh, absolutely. 800-357-1415. tnusa.com/RSBN. You want the IRS off your back, and settling those back taxes now before April 15th. So smart to do, because we know it's a bloated agency that will all be changing over the course of the next few weeks, but something pesky that you have to take care of in the meantime. But make sure you go to our Patriot experts over at Tax Network USA. They know about property taxes, state and federal income taxes as well. And we'll see how that changes, in the near future, probably with the External Revenue Service. Very interested in that.
Looking forward to seeing those developments. Let's go over to angelpaste.com. The RSBN promo code goes a long way, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. It is fantastic. All the different options for you, from the Vitamin B Miracle Cream that makes your dry hands glowing and refreshed immediately. This is non-GMO, no chemicals. So everything you're putting on you is okay to be absorbed into your skin. Also, they have an immune fighter, the orange option. They also have a natural mosquito repellent. And for the guys out there, they actually have a nice facial wash as well. So you can still feel like a manly man and get Miracle Cream. So it's good for both genders. Miracle Cream by Angel Paste out of Spring, Texas, a great town. And of course, they're right off the Gulf of America. So they know a little thing about those mosquitoes, especially during the summer. So you want to look into all of their options today. They hire veterans as well, and they're Christian owned. So a great company.
Angelpaste.com, that is the website to go to. RSBN is the promo code to use. All right, so 107, Monday, March 24th. Thanks again for streaming in. As you see at the bottom of your screen, awaiting President Trump's remarks with Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, so we'll take you there live. We also will have someone join us at 1:30 Eastern for a live interview. And also, I was thinking about this over the weekend, actually this morning. Typically, of course, in a second term of a president, that president is called a lame duck president. But I said on Truth today, I'm like, I can't have that come out of my mouth referring to President Trump. So I'll call it the strong duck president. Why not? You know what I mean? I mean, you can't call him lame. He's not lame in any way.
No, he really isn't. He is. Someone actually, it was interesting. I was watching a clip over the weekend, and our friend Charlie Kirk was with Grant Cardone, one of those 100 times festivals that Grant puts on. Of course, Ashley Brassfield had the opportunity to interview him at CPAC. He's a great friend of the network as well. And I never heard this this definition given about people. And Charlie was talking about fragile people, strong people, and then anti-fragile people. So to give you context of the discussion, fragile is those, they really can't handle adversity. They're probably doing what they need to do to get by, and that's okay. It's all good. It's a lot of people that are not necessarily entrepreneurs, and that's totally fine. There's also those strong people who learn from adversity. But then there's the anti-fragile people. It's almost as if when the bad stuff comes along, they always power up. They get stronger. It's almost like Super Mario Brothers. They hit that button, they get the magic mushroom or the star, and they just go to the races. That's Donald Trump. That's Grant Cardone. That's Charlie Kirk. And that's really a number of amazing people in the movement, including our outstanding cabinet, who have had to withstand the onslaught of lawfare over these last few years. I even think of Pam Bondi, just the random attack. She was with her husband going to see a movie during the impeachment processes. If you remember all of that happening, they were spit upon, there was popcorn thrown at them. They ended up not pressing charges. I mean, these people are beyond Thunderdome, and thank God we have them serving the American people.
The strongest president and the strongest cabinet probably of all time within the United States of America. So looking forward to seeing the president and the Louisiana governor in just a bit. Also, just a few other thoughts I had this week, and might as well share. It's Monday morning, all right, or Monday afternoon, see? What I was thinking also is that for me personally, I trust President Trump to make the right decision, of course, to whoever he endorses in 2028, 2029. And I'm looking forward to voting for whoever that person is. But I mean, I know that's a long way off. There's a lot of work to be done and all that. But, you do think about what is it going to be like. You do have that outlook.
Right.
And it's just wanting someone that is MAGA-centric, but also taking care of any prosecutions that need to happen. Because if you don't, and somehow they get back in, what's going to change? Probably everything again.
Right, and it's interesting to watch every minute issue when it comes to who will be that next in line. Politicos have to think about that. Again, not that government-run newspaper, but rather the thought process of investigating and studying this as we do. And I even shared with you today that the governor, Ron DeSantis in Idaho, of course, governor of Florida, in Idaho for the balanced budget amendment, I'm starting to think he's going to perhaps pursue the presidency again. Therefore, his wife, Casey DeSantis, the first lady of Florida, doing a wonderful job, likely not to take on Congressman Byron Donalds, if you're watching that race closely. That's what I think right now. That could change, of course. So keep our minds and eyes on that. Of course, CPAC, that straw poll, Vice President J.D. Vance in a remarkable position to be the heir apparent to MAGA and the issues that President Trump has brought to the American people. So, I mean, he is standing in a very good position right now.
Exactly. So we'll see who President Trump endorses. We'll see what the people do from there. But, President Trump's a winner, and anytime he endorses somebody, it's always a good thing. So we'll see what happens. I know we're some years out from that. And I was also thinking about there may be a lot of Trump rallies at the end of his term.
I think so, too. Even next year with the midterms. There has to be, right?
Right. So then, a number of Trump rallies for the midterms, possibly. The end of his term when he is, stumping for whoever he's endorsed for the 48th commander-in-chief. So I know we're looking way far ahead. We're only 3 months into the White House here with President Trump, but it's just interesting to think about some of those things as well. All right, so let's go to Colonial Metals Group, the great company that is a sponsor here, freegoldguy.com/RSBN, a tax-free, tax-sheltered IRA, 401k, all backed in gold and silver. So, that high value, it's a great thing.
Well, it makes a lot of sense if you're trying to hit that goal of retirement, but even with those big purchases or those big things that happen in life, say sending a kid to college, maybe even Auburn University, always good to have gold and silver to back up your properties, your assets, your 401k, IRA plans, but then there's this. And you can actually roll some of those 401k plans and IRA plans into gold and silver. And the way you find out, freegoldguy.com/RSBN, no obligation. Gold has gone up 840% in value since the year 2000. It's gone up over 7,000% since 1971. That's when the Nixon administration took America off the gold standard. So think about this. It's always going up. It's never going down, even in times of uncertainty like the year 2000. Matthew, if you remember, I was 12, so I would have been, I want to say just at the end of elementary school, going into middle school. I can remember family members, because of Y2K and the fear of the computers going down, just filling up water bottles and having it all over their counters. I don't know if that happened for you, but gold still went up during that. So it's quite a commodity.
Definitely. So freegoldguy.com/RSBN gets you where you need to go when it comes to Colonial Metals Group. We'll be talking more about the great company in just a bit. Again, 114, Monday, March 24th. How was your weekend, Robert?
Oh, it was fantastic. Well, I got to spend some with you and the wonderful family in town to enjoy just a beautiful weekend in the friendliest village on the plains. So hope you're seeing that springtime weather somewhat changing. Of course, thoughts and prayers with those who, again, had some tornado watches somewhat close to here in the volunteer state of Tennessee, of course, Arkansas as well. But recently, just over a week ago, of course, those terrible storms, 40 people lost their lives in 7 states. So our thoughts and prayers with those as this transition, this renewal happens with springtime. But as Christina Loren beautifully points out on our network, that hot air and that cold air coming together can create very disastrous weather. So be careful, be vigilant, but we hope you're, if you're down south, not being harmed by that pollen too much. I see that actually it was nice. It rained last night or early this morning, so got that pollen off of the cars. But some of us up north, our friends, still reeling from those winter-like temperatures.
Exactly. So the weather report brought to you by Robert McNeely right there. I thought Christina Loren was the meteorologist.
Yeah, oh, she's much better than I am. I am very green when it comes to weather.
Definitely. That's awesome. Also, over the weekend, this guy's pretty good at ping pong. Let's just put it that way. I thought I was pretty good, but then I played him, Anyway. All right, so we're about 15 minutes away from the San Diego County Supervisor, Jim Desmond, who has been on the broadcast before. He'll be joining us again. This guy is all about the southern border and it being closed and also not being a sanctuary city, a beautiful city. America's finest city is the motto in San Diego, of course. And he's going to talk to us about something that I'll just wait to 1:30 because it's quite a story that's happening there, and not a lot of mainstream media, of course, is going to cover it, so we will. But we're looking forward to seeing that. And then again at 2 o'clock, the Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry, will be speaking with the president. That'll be in the Roosevelt Room. And then later today, the president will participate in a Greek Independence Day celebration at the East Room. That's about 3 o'clock. So that'll be a different live stream than this one. So just stay with us. Keep clicking on them. Keep watching. Thanks so much for doing so. And it'll be great, again, if we have all those rallies coming up at the midterms and maybe at the end of the President Trump's term when he's stumping for whoever he endorses for 48th Commander-in-Chief. But a lot of winning and a lot of work still to be done from now until then, of course.
And remarkable that it's not even 100 days yet in the White House. President Trump enjoying Bedminster over the weekend and also taking a trip to Philadelphia, PA, a big place in the history of our American Revolution, to enjoy the NCAA wrestling matchups with Pennsylvania Congressman, of course, Senator Dave McCormick, and that great wrestler Jim Jordan as well. You may have heard of him from the Buckeye State of Ohio. He set some records over at UW-Madison, so that was very exciting, along with Elon Musk, of course, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt as well. It was a star-studded event to watch that stadium just erupt for President Trump, and then, of course, the winner of this competition embracing President Trump, saluting him over the weekend, and putting on a show for his commander-in-chief. And Mr. Director, are we ready for that video? Fantastic. We'll
South Philadelphia is packed with wrestling fans right now. The best collegiate wrestlers in the country are going head-to-head at the Wells Fargo Center.
President Donald Trump is expected to be in attendance.
As wrestling's about strength, it's about resilience. We saw it during the campaign. We've seen it since you became president again, and we're honored to have you here. So thank you all for coming. Thank you.
She's going to be a great senator, and she's unbelievable. But let's go and have a good time tonight.
And Dave McCormick, a legend in his own right, but what a great weekend to watch some wrestling. And that's a tough sport. I mean, I grew up with the whole WWE, which is also great, okay, but that's a different league of wrestling.
It is, 100%. You know, in high school, I played football, I played a little bit of baseball, wasn't that good at basketball. But during gym, we had to do wrestling. I always hated it, man, because it's like you get into that one move, and I'm already like ready to tap out. I was like, no, this isn't for me. Let me go back out to the football field.
But this guy, we should really share the video of your spiral. I mean, it's out of this world. I mean, this guy, he can throw a football, let me tell you.
Well, but I couldn't run worth crap. So let's put it that way. I could throw and shotgun. As soon as I got the ball, I can launch it, but that's about it. Anyway, that was fun to go down memory lane with some of the sports there. But yeah, I mean, another photo that President Trump had with one of the wrestlers, President Trump's face. Did you see this one? He goes like that.
Oh yeah, that good picture. He's just like getting into it. You could see how proud he was. This guy loves sports. It's he almost needs his own segment on ESPN. Maybe he'll get that one of these days.
I think there's a lot of things to be done throughout this presidency and then even after it. I mean, think about it. Again, his endorsement, it has a heavy weight to it. It's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a lot going on, post the presidency, but holy smokes, do we have a lot of time left to save this country, and that's what it's all about as we look forward to seeing more wins by this president and more promises made, promises kept. And on top of that, people that watch might say, oh, well, anything that President Trump does, we're going to cheerlead. Well, most likely. However, we are more into truth and common sense and freedom and family and God. That is the truth right there.
Absolutely.
We have someone named President Trump who has fought there every step of the way for us, and we are supporting someone that stands for all of those things that are near and dear to our heart.
Yes, it is so true, Matthew. Well echoed, and a great weekend to celebrate that, because 250 years ago, yesterday, of course, Patrick Henry's immortal "Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death" speech in the Virginia House of Commons. So that was something really to celebrate, and what a great weekend for it in Philadelphia to really celebrate a great American pastime. Of course, is coming from the Greco-Roman background of the Olympic Games, but this is a special thing for President Trump. He likes his sports, and he loves what America represents, and I just got goosebumps to watch the leaders of this great competition salute him and thank him for being there.
Exactly. And speaking of sports, just watched Rudy over the weekend with my family. Obviously, I know a lot of you have seen it. I know you've seen it. I've seen it a number of times. But what a great movie of grit and overcoming the odds, and that's what President Trump has done. He is a hero to many of the people of this country and around the world. Pretty awesome to be able to cover the president, and for you to be on Air Force One just the other day to ask the president a few questions. It's just an awesome moment in time to cover a great president, but also not only just a great president, but to save our actual country. We realized what we were about to face if we would have lost this election in 24.
Well, it's such a different perspective on so many different levels. So let's just take the record of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. These were businessmen. They knew that they had to hire, fire, really streamline on behalf of their benefactors. They were in business. They know how to bring in wealth and how to take care of those who are under them, and how to make their lives, very happy in that process and worthwhile. I've never met someone who did not like working in the Trump organization. That's really a credit to everything now that Don Jr. and Eric are doing over at this wonderful organization, whether it's real estate to golf to so many different things that they do. And think about that with J.D. Vance as well, where you had two other people who were so ingrained in government and so benefited off of the taxpayers' backs for years and years and years. In fact, that person, number two in command, is thinking about running for governor of California. And it gives me some relief for the rest of the country that she may not pursue 2028, but I do feel bad for those in the Golden State. I mean, it's such a different view of liberty and freedom or communism. I choose liberty and freedom. And
that's exactly what the majority of this country has chosen. And for those of you in the Golden State waking up with us, well, you've been awake for a little bit. It's 10:23 out there on the West Coast. We'll actually be headed to San Diego coming up here in just a minute with the San Diego County Supervisor. Jim Desmond will join us for a special report, a very unique angle that there's a specific problem that's happening there. He's going to let us know all about that coming up in about 7 minutes from now. Let's go to American Financing. So AmericanFinancing.net is the website. And if you'd like to save upwards of $800 on average per month when it comes to refinancing or loans, home loans, this is the group to do it with.
Yes, it's so smart. And they can actually save you 2 months in advance if you call today. So think about this. With everything as expensive as it is, $1,600 on average would be a nice 2 months worth of savings. So do that today. American Financing, truly the experts in home titles and ownership.
Exactly. So AmericanFinancing.net is the website, AmericanFinancing.net. All right, so 1:24 Eastern, Monday, March 24th. Again, President Trump to meet with the governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, in about half an hour from now. And then a little bit later, Greek Independence Day. There's a celebration at the East Room of the White House. It'll be quite awesome to see that. Looking live right now at one of the spots moments ago. That may be the cabinet meeting that we're getting a feed of. I did hear that there was a cabinet meeting today. So if this is something that we're going to get as well, this is great. We'll see the president walk in. There is the president right now. Let's go there to Washington, D.C.
To come back. And remember, there are no tariffs if you build here, and that's a big factor. So we have record numbers. Howard was just telling me the numbers that we're talking about are crazy, beyond anybody. A couple of contracts that we have now found. So they'll be, when he got there, they saw this with Chris and everybody, and they couldn't believe it. Doug, could you just relate what you told us a little while ago?
No,
we have, as you know, Indiana's Honda is coming in with a massive plant to Indiana, but there are many plants that are happening, and literally some are started already. General Motors is already redoing plants that were half abandoned, or they have plants that weren't being fully utilized. They're going to be, they and others are going to be making parts and other things in those plants so that it's one-stop shopping finally. It's ridiculous. You had to go to Mexico, you had to go to Canada. A car went all over the place. It was like, I don't know how that would have worked, but that's the way it sort of ended up. We had a deal, and we have a deal, it's fine, but people took advantage of the deal. They cheated. And when you cheat, the deals are unfortunate. But now what's happening is the numbers are beyond our wildest expectations. Now, having to do with cutting, we've done a lot of cutting, cutting from people, ideally the people that aren't doing the job. In many cases, people weren't attending jobs. In some cases, in many cases, people didn't exist. They had on the government rolls people that don't even exist. But of the ones that did exist, as you know, many didn't come to work. Many had no intention of coming to work. Many were paid and working someplace else. There were lots of bad scenarios, but they're being weeded out, and I think we're probably ahead of schedule on that. And to me, something that was just terrible is the contracts that we're finding, the fraudulent contracts that we're finding, where millions and millions of dollars and even billions of dollars in some cases were given out. And I think we'll start with that. I'd like to start with Doug Burgum, Secretary of the Interior. He told us about a couple of contracts that we have now found. When he got there, they saw this with Chris and everybody, and they couldn't believe it. Doug, could you just relate what you told us a little while ago?
No, happy to, Mr. President. There's a federal consulting group, which was a group inside of Interior, but it was managing contracts from many different agencies that flowed through here. One of those contracts was to do surveys of individuals, $830 million for surveys. And so part of the question was, hey, could we actually see the surveys? And then the surveys came back, and a survey was like 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with 10 questions that anyone's child in junior high could have put together, or AI could have done for free. $830 million. So that's one that we've stopped, and that contract was going out after you were inaugurated, sir. So it was jumping.
It's a pure fraud.
Yeah,
it's a fraud. But we've had many fraudulent contracts that were caught by the work that Elon and his people are doing, and working with our people. It's been brought to light. The fraud, not just waste and abuse, the fraud has been incredible. You mentioned one, Madam Secretary.
Well, yes, sir. Well, let me just add to that, and thank you. We just had a wonderful cabinet meeting, all aligned on certainly the effort to realign the government. But even at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we've canceled a $300,000 contract educating on food justice for queer and transgender farmers in San Francisco. A similar contract we canceled in New York, again, educating transgender and queer farmers on food justice and food equality. I'm not even sure what that means, but apparently the last administration wanted to put our taxpayer dollars towards that. We canceled a $600,000 contract out of Louisiana that was studying the menstrual cycles of transgender men, a $600,000 contract. We canceled another contract out of a university in the middle of the country that focused on getting more diversity, equity, and inclusion into our pest management industry. Again, these are nonsensical. It makes zero sense to use taxpayer dollars to fund these. I know these are just a few examples of the hundreds and hundreds that we have found.
Well, a clear case of fraud was with the Small Business Administration, where they were handing out loans, $330 million worth of loans to people under the age of 11. I think the youngest, Kelly, was a 9-month-old who got a $100,000 loan. It's a very precocious baby we're talking about here.
Kelly, what about that?
Well, we're tackling the fraud, waste, and abuse in the agency. We've seen, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud go unprosecuted. So we're taking that off. We have a zero tolerance policy for fraud, and we continue to crack down on it and make sure people are held accountable.
That's amazing. And you have a lot of that. You've found far too much of it. It's a pure fraud. we like to use the words waste and abuse because they sort of sound good, but many of these things are pure fraud. Now, there was a contract that you've heard about where Stacey Abrams got $2 billion just before we took over, and it was a rush to get her the money, and that was environmental, and nobody knows what she was doing. But $2 billion, if you got $2 million, that's a lot. If you got 200,000, that's a lot. But this was $2 billion was given. Lee, do you want to talk about that? And the other one that was even worse?
EPA has now canceled over $22 billion worth of contracts. $2 billion going to this NGO that Stacey Abrams was tied to. They received only $100 in 2023. And then the Biden administration gave them $2 billion. The director of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund saw his former employer get $5 billion. So $20 billion went to just 8 NGOs, and they're all pass-throughs. And then they were giving it to other entities, many of them were pass-throughs. And what you have is all these extra middlemen, they're taking their cut. And the taxpayer ends up getting screwed. They're losing out on all this hard-earned money. They can't afford to have the federal government waste. The partnership with Doge and Elon Musk has been incredible at EPA. Their team is very talented. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them. And of course, this mandate from President Trump to make sure that we identify every last penny, whether we're saving $50,000, $5 million, or $22 billion. We will not rest until every last penny is saved. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to do this for the American public.
Great job you're doing. So we have a lot of that. We're getting down to a point we think probably over the next 2 or 3 months we'll be pretty much satisfied with the people that are working hard and want to be members of the administration and our country, really. And they're doing a lot of good people. We have a lot of great people. We want to keep the good ones, and we want to get rid of the ones that don't exist, and we want to get rid of the ones that do exist but don't work. And we have quite a few of them. Would anybody else like to say something before we take some questions from the press, please? Doug Collins.
Yeah, Mr. President, I think one of the things that you've always told me is to take care of our veterans, and that's what we're doing at the VA. And one of the things, though, is you also have to know who your employees are. You have to know the very fact of who you are. We're 470,000 roughly when we started this, larger than the active duty Army, when you think about that in the perspective. But however, this is an interesting point. When I first got there and we started looking at this, how you take care of people, we didn't have an HR system that could actually give us a rundown on who actually was working where. That we've had to work with that, working with our VA employees who are those liaisons. We've been able to put together an organizational chart which we can start looking at that. But the interesting part about it is about taking care of veterans, and what you've told me to do is how do we get the people in the right places. And I think when we look at this, GAO has told us we were high risk for years. The previous administration put literally tens of billions of dollars and tens of thousand employees over the last 4 years, and we saw our statistics basically stay the same or go down. Backlogs went up. You know, maybe the question is not money and employees anymore. Maybe it's the organization and how we effectively deliver for the American people. That's what we're going to do.
Well said.
And you know, one thing I want to add to it, it is not necessarily a very popular thing to do. You know, you're talking about employment, you're talking about people and the lives of people. And yet, I think the American public understands we're trying to save our country and make our country great again. I mean, you could say it, but we're trying to save our country from this extraordinary thing that was happening. What they were doing to our country was just a horrible thing. And I have no idea how it plays out in the public. I guess you see poll numbers that are very good numbers, but I don't know what that means long term. But it's something that has to be done. If we don't do it, we're not going to have much of a country left, so we have to do it. So we're doing things that I think a lot of presidents wouldn't be inclined to do, but we're doing it to really, you know, I don't want to use cliche. I don't want to say we're doing it to make America great again, because I say that on the campaign trail, but there's really no other words that could express it better than that. We're doing it to help our country, and our country was riddled with fat, like no country probably anywhere in the world, and we're getting rid of the fat. And at the same time, we're going to be bringing in millions of very good, high-paying jobs, and we're going to be taking in a lot of money. Our country's going to be very strong. We've been ripped off by every country in the world, friend and foe. We were taken advantage of like nobody's ever seen. And you saw what happened today with Venezuela. We did something with Venezuela, which is long in the making, and it's very substantial. And we'll be announcing cars very shortly, and we already announced steel, as you know, and aluminum. We'll be announcing pharmaceuticals at some point in the not too distant, because we have to have pharmaceuticals. We don't make pharmaceuticals anymore in our country. And if we have problems like wars or anything else, we need steel, we need pharmaceuticals, we need aluminum, we need a lot of these things that we sort of don't make anymore, and yet we're equipped to do it all. So we'll be announcing some of these things in the very near future, not the long future, the very near future. And it'll bring in billions of dollars, billions and billions, and it'll bring in, maybe more importantly, jobs. It'll protect the jobs we have. And it's going to be really, really quite amazing. Kristen, you have something to say?
Yes, Mr. President. I want to say energy is the infrastructure that makes our country run and drives our national security. The Biden administration grew my department, the Department of Energy, by 20%, and expenditure much more than that, all in an effort to reduce the production of energy in the United States and to make energy more expensive. We are stewards of the American taxpayer dollars, right? That's the job of everyone around this table, led by you. We want to reverse that trajectory and care about every dollar an American taxpayer gives us, and are we using it for the benefit of Americans? Let me tell you one thing, huge growth in expenditures, huge growth in employee count. Puerto Rico, an American territory, had its electricity grid destroyed. They had billions of dollars in the Department of Energy to help Puerto Rico. Yet they didn't spend that money, because that money would have meant more energy, more jobs, more prosperity in Puerto Rico. They wanted to have them as a poster child of wind and solar. This island should run on wind and solar. That just doesn't work. But they cared about politics more than the American people, and they didn't treat the dollars like they were their dollars. Yeah. This table, the team you have assembled, we're treating the American dollars like they're our dollars.
Yeah. Thank you. We're doing a great job on energy, by the way. We have things happening with energy that will knock your socks off. They're really amazing, amazing job. Howard, do you want to say a couple of words?
Well, what is so exciting is April 2nd is just around the corner, and that's American Liberation Day. That's the day when the rest of the world starts to treat America with respect. And your leadership, understanding how the rest of the world treats us, and what balance and what fair trade finally is going to be, is going to take care of America. It's going to launch the External Revenue Service to start to build the power and prestige of America back. And I'm honored to be helping you on that course.
It's an interesting term, right? The External Revenue Service. We're going to take in a lot of money from the outside, and that's going to keep our taxes low, and I think getting a lot lower. It's going to be a lot of money, and the external will take care of the internal to a large extent. So I think it's going to be a beautiful transformation. Linda, you might say a couple of words. You've done so amazing. It's a 50% cut. And more importantly, we want to bring education into the states. We're at the bottom of the pack, but we're the most expensive per pupil. And we want to bring education back to the states where they can teach the students lovingly with their parents and with the boards and everything else. And they'll be every bit as good as these other countries. These states, these individual states will do a phenomenal job. Want to say something?
Yes, sir. And if we think about education, if we don't address the issues in education now and start getting our scores up, what are we going to find our next generation after that? Where are our engineers, our doctors, our lawyers, our scientists, our AI and technical experts going to come from? We will go farther and farther down, and with everything else we're doing within our country, building manufacturing, bringing all of that back, if we don't educate in the best way we can, we will be lost, and those generations will be lost. It is, I think, the cornerstone of our culture and what we need to focus on. And so by having education at the best place where it can be, which is at the states, the local levels, with governors, with best practices and tools, which I hope the Department of Education can help us apply for them, we'll do it.
And Linda, as you know, the SBA has taken over her student loans, which is a lot of loans. It's a big job, and Kelly, we appreciate that. You're going to do fantastically well. and Bobby is going to be taking over their various medical aspects and health aspects of the educational process. So, and he's going to do a fantastic job of it. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just say that I'm very grateful to you and very grateful for the partnership with Doge and with Elon. We've identified extraordinary waste in my department and HHS. The expenditures, the budget of HHS during the Biden administration went up by 38%. The employees went up by 17%, and healthcare went down. We have 40 comms departments. We have 40 procurement departments. We have 40 IT departments, and we have 40 procurement, HR, none of them talking to each other. We are, with Elon's help, eliminating the redundancies. We are streamlining our department. We're going to go back to providing gold standard science. We're going to get the money to the scientists and to the patients rather than to the administrators and to the bureaucrats. And we're going to restore gold standard science, and we're going to make America healthy again.
Thank you very much. It's great. If you might, Madam Secretary, say a little bit about what's happening and how well we've done at the border.
Sir, this last week I was in Arizona, California, Alaska, and Florida, and CBP literally has almost 100% operational control of the border, which means that our country is secure and that we know who's coming into this country and that they love our country and they want to help keep it great into the future. We are, in the month of March, the last couple of weeks, increased our deportations by 50%, so we're now not even just getting the worst of the worst out. We're making sure that there's consequences for being here and committing crimes in our communities, and the numbers are continuing to escalate and to go up. Sir, this week I'm headed down to El Salvador. I'll be in the prison where we sent TDA members. I'll be meeting with the president and also Colombia and Mexico and talking about building these relationships so that we can continue to get people out of this country that don't belong here and take them home. And also, you had talked to me about sending the message worldwide about the fact that people shouldn't be coming to this country and they shouldn't be coming here illegally. So we are in several other countries around the world with a message right now that's saying, if you are thinking about coming to America illegally and coming here, don't do it. You are not welcome. We have a legal process to becoming a United States citizen, and there are consequences if you come here illegally, and America has changed because we're putting Americans first. So we've also, the Coast Guard has done phenomenal work. I don't know if you all have reported on it, but we have broken historic records in the amount of drug interdictions that they have brought in. We've repositioned the fleet to go after the fentanyl crisis and to go after the southern border and securing it, and they've done amazing work as far as that. We were down in Florida. They brought in $500 million worth of cocaine that they had done in 14 interdictions and had brought them in, going right directly after the cartels and doing great work there. And we have a cutter that we have sped up the process, sir, the icebreaker. That'll be hitting the waters here this summer, and we've got 2 more that will be coming. But, you know, Russia is using their cutters and icebreakers up in the Arctic to do surveillance on us, and we're going to reposition our fleet to continue to partner. I want to thank the Secretary of Defense and the Navy for all of their help and partnership, too. We do operations together because their obvious Navy warships are in certain regions, but our cutters are faster and can work together in a partnership that's securing America. So, and we're going to eliminate FEMA. So we've got a lot to do, but it's all good, and we're working hard, and we're going to make sure that we're continuing to do exactly what you promised.
That's good. Great job. Yesterday, there was a plaza that you know well. There'd be hundreds of thousands of people standing at that plaza, pouring into our country, totally unchecked. Many people from jails and prisons and mental institutions and gang members, and horrible. And they just pour into our country. Yesterday, I was speaking to somebody, I was checking on the border, and they said there was literally nobody in this massive plaza. You know, we're talking a plaza that would hold hundreds of thousands of people. There was literally nobody there. There was one person sweeping it, but there were no people. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing transformation very quickly. And we're getting the bad ones out first, and we're taking them out. and there's some really bad ones, murders of more than one people. At least 50% murdered more than one person. This is the people that we're letting in through their open border policy. It was terrible, but I want to just congratulate you and Tom Holman on the job you've done. It's really.
Boston this weekend, hundreds of dangerous criminals were removed, 4 killers taken out of the country just by what they did in Boston this last week.
Yeah. And these are killers that there's no reasoning. It's not like, oh, let's talk them out of it. These are stone cold killers. They don't care. They don't even think about it. They kill somebody. They go to sleep. They wake up. They don't even remember they killed them. These are bad people that should have never been allowed into our country. Pam is doing such a fantastic job. I thought maybe you could say a few words.
Thank you, President. As far as we are hearing a lot about fraud, waste, and abuse, a lot of waste and abuse, but there is a tremendous amount of fraud. And Elon, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your team. You have uncovered so much fraud in our government, and we will prosecute you. We have an internal task force now working with every agency sitting here at this table. And if you've committed fraud, we're coming after you. Thank you, Elon, for that. On the violent crime level, thanks to President Trump's directive, we are seeking the death penalty again. So all of these horrible, violent criminals that you're hearing about around the country, they will face the death penalty federally within our country. And the drug dealers need to get out of here because we are coming after you. We're going to have 94 great U.S. attorneys around this country, and everyone will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Thank you.
Thank you, President. It's at your directive.
I couldn't have said that better. That's very good. That's very good. She's doing a fantastic job. Thanks, Pam. Do you have any questions, please?
Mr. President.
Yeah, please.
Mr. President, what can states do now to implement your Department of Education executive order?
Well, I think what's going to happen is we are cleaning out a lot of things like the loans, student loans, which will be handled very professionally by people that do that. And then, as you know, RFK Jr. is going to do a fantastic job having to do with health and the other things, and frankly, better than the people at the Department of Education. You see the buildings all over D.C., and then the rest is the states are going to start coming in and taking all of the information on all of their students. And I think a lot of that information is going to be shipped to different states like Iowa, like Indiana, like so many. They're so anxious to get, they're calling us, and they're so anxious to get it. We'll be shipping the records of the children that they're taking care of, that they want to take care of, and the process will begin. And I think it won't be that long before the states will be really running the Department of Education. Our teachers are going to be taken very well care of. And I said, you know, personally, I don't care, union, non-union, it doesn't matter. Teachers are so important to this country and to me. And we're going to take great care of our teachers, and I know it's very important to Linda. Yes. So I think you're going to see a tremendous change very quickly having to do with education, and the process has already begun, very strongly begun. I think we've done, you know, whatever it is, 8 weeks, people are amazed at how much we've done in terms of the safety of the country. In fact, I would like to ask maybe Marco to say a few words on what's happening with respect to, in particular, Russia, Ukraine, where we have some pretty good news. I think we want to get it stopped. We're losing 2,500 young people, and these are Russian and Ukrainian people largely. And they're not American people, but on a human basis, we want to get it stopped, and we want to stop spending billions and billions of dollars to a country that we think it's time. And we're doing pretty well. Marco, do you want to say something?
Yeah, Mr. President, first of all, I think the American people should be proud that we have a president that's promoting peace and the end of conflict on this planet. This is a war that's gone on for 3 years, as you pointed out, that, as you rightly pointed out, would have never happened had you been president, but now it's here, and it needs to be brought to an end. There is no military solution to this war. It has to end through negotiation. And there's only one leader in the world that's capable of bringing two sides to a table, and that's our president, the President of the United States, President Trump. And that's what he's done. And so today, even as we speak, we have teams on the ground in Saudi Arabia, a meeting with the respective sides in the hopes of making progress towards this outcome that we all want to see. And I think that the country owes you a great debt of gratitude, and the world, really, because, I mean, you're the only leader in the planet that can bring the two sides together to bring an end to this conflict, and that's what you've done, and you've done it despite, you know, impediments from other countries and others who maybe have different opinions about how this should go. But Ultimately, I think that the only chance we have for peace is through the president's leadership, and you've shown that, and we hope it'll bear fruit, and today will hopefully be one step more in that direction.
Thank you, Marco. And on the Middle East, another hot spot that we didn't have a problem with. There was no problem in the Middle East when we left, and now there's a lot of problems in the Middle East, but we're working on that. But I think we've seen significant progress, and I think you'll have we're going to start, we were talking with the Vice President a little while ago, and you're going to see countries start to fill up the Abraham Accords. More and more countries want to join. That was a great success, tremendous success, and then Biden and his group did 0 with it. That should have been filled up within a year of the election, would have been filled up. So countries are starting to want to get involved very much with the Abraham Accords again, so that'll be great. JD, do you want to say something?
Yeah, sure. Yes, sir. Just on that topic, if you think about what happened with the Abraham Accords, one of the great diplomatic breakthroughs under the first Trump administration, really in the last 30 or 40 years of American history in the Middle East, and the Biden administration did absolutely nothing with it. Built on it, not at all, added 0 additional countries. Purely out of political spite, the Biden administration, I think, hurt the United States and really hurt the project of world peace. That has changed. Luckily, about 2 months ago, we got a new president. And that president has given us the task of building out the Abraham Accords, adding new countries to it. And really what you see is a lot of these countries that have historical, ethnic, or religious hatreds want to build. They want to build new artificial intelligence. They want to build new real estate projects. They want their citizens to become rich and prosperous and peaceful. And they're setting to the side some of those old hatreds under the leadership of President Trump. So it's early, but we made a lot of progress, and we'll keep on making progress, sir.
Thank you, JD. One of the things that's very important, I think, to mention, I saw a show yesterday, and they had a Democrat congressman on. It was on Fox. And he said, well, President Trump said prices would be coming down, and instead he's focused on other things. Well, we are focused on a lot of other things, like peace, like all of these companies that are moving in and jobs. But what he didn't say is that prices have come down very substantially. And if you look at when I came in, after 1 week, they were screaming at me about eggs. Eggs had nothing to do with me, but they were through the roof, and you couldn't get them. And now they're down about 35, 40%, maybe even more than that. I'm going to let Brooke, if you would just discuss that. And groceries generally. Prices are coming down, and energy prices are coming down. And I hope the Fed lowers interest rates, and then you're going to see interest rates coming down, and I'll have you speak about that in a second, Scott. Brooke, go ahead.
Well, sir, thank you. I think the first thing that's really remarkable to note is that the prices of eggs under the 4 years of Joe Biden increased 237%. 237% in those 4 years, and yet it wasn't covered in the press at all. No one talked about the price of eggs in the summer of last year, for example, from the media. So, of course, the president wins and he is inaugurated, and the next day everyone is yelping about why the price of eggs are so high. So it was certainly one of many, many issues we took on under the 4 years of Joe Biden. We had the cost of input go up 30% for all of our agriculture products. At the same time, the trade deficit increased $49 billion. So it was 0 under the first Trump administration. And then under Joe Biden, we sold $49 billion less of our ag products around the world. Then you combine that with the avian bird flu, and I know I've talked to a lot of you in the press on this over the last 3 or 4 weeks. But listen, here's the deal. The president, under his vision and support, we released about a month ago a very significant plan on how to bring the price of eggs down. It included 5 prongs. I won't go into it now because I don't want to bore everyone, but since that day, since we released that plan regarding biosecurity, repopulation, importing eggs, research, and then deregulating, taking those onerous rules off of our farmers, our egg-laying farmers. Since that time, the price of eggs, the wholesale price of eggs, has come down 53%. So we're going to keep working on it. Listen, it's not something you solve overnight. Avian bird flu and some of the other animal diseases, we're working across the government, several partners out in the cabinet on that, especially my friend Secretary Kennedy over at HHS. But we have a long-term solution, but at least for now, in the short term, thanks to President Trump and so many that have worked so hard, the price of eggs are coming down, as well as the price of groceries. So thank you, sir, for the opportunity to lead on that.
And the number is 53%, and they're readily available. So I think it's a fantastic job. And overall groceries are down too.
That's right. They're coming down.
So the consumer's finally seeing some good news instead of year after year of prices going up because of grossly incompetent leadership. Scott, do you want to talk about interest rates, where you see it all going?
Yes, sir. So we are, under your direction, we're reprivatizing the economy. We're bringing down government spending. We're bringing down excess employment in the government sector. On the other side, we're going to re-leverage the banking system. We're going to have all the new manufacturing jobs, so everyone who's laid off from the government will have an opportunity to go into the private sector, and that is going to lead to disinflation. Inflation is under control. We're going to get the affordability crisis fixed. So lower energy, deregulation, more private sector jobs that will naturally get interest rates down. Interest rates down. Mortgage rates are down almost every week since January 20th. The energy costs are down about 15%. Crude oil's down about 15%. And as we keep that going, interest rates are going to keep declining. It'll be good for mortgages. It'll be good for credit card debt. It'll be great for auto loans.
That's great. And you're doing a really, really good job. I'd like to see the Fed lower interest rates. That's just my opinion. Because things are coming down. We have inflation under control. Tremendous amounts of money will be soon coming in from tariffs, which is about time that we were able to partake. We've been ripped off by every country on that basis, and it's about time. But that will be, I think, treated very fairly. Will be very fair. But the money that we're talking about is rather astronomical, and it should be, because we put years and years. I was able, in the first term, we had a great first term with the highest stock price increase ever, all the different things that we had. But one of the things, we took in a lot of money in tariffs, and I had just started that process, and we had to slow it down because of the COVID. We didn't go forward. We did a very good job with COVID, but that was something that happened to the whole world. It was a shame. What a shame. All those people dead, and all of the problems that it caused for countries far worse. I mean, some countries still haven't recovered. Economically, they haven't recovered. But we took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs just starting the process. But this is a program that's going to be, I think, unbelievable for our country. And I think it's treating other countries very fairly, very, very fairly. I'd like to ask, if I might, Sean Duffy to say a few words about the air traffic control situation. You know, there were some mishaps, one in particular, the helicopter crashing into the plane. We have a system that's 40 years old. They spent tens of billions of dollars trying to patch it up and, you know, make it work, but it doesn't work. And my pilot says they use different systems. They don't want to use our system. It's so obsolete. And it's an obsolete, horrible thing that happened with respect to it. And we were going to, I said, day one, if this happens, if we are successful, we're going to have to get a brand new, modern, top-of-the-line air traffic system. And I think I can say that I've been working a little bit with Sean on it, but Sean's been working hard on it, and with his new person at FDA, who's going to be terrific, by the way. And maybe you want to talk to them about that, because we need safety in the air, total safety in the air, and this will give that to you.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. We had a conversation on Friday. Again, our air traffic control system, as we talked about maybe privately or I don't know publicly with all of you, but we have decades of ideas and billions of dollars, and no progress is ever made on any of these initiatives. Air traffic control is the same thing. And so we're having a conversation about building a state-of-the-art, brand new, best technology, envy of the world, air traffic control system. And what's interesting from the DOGE team is they'll look and say, well, what is the problem? Why hasn't this been built? This is about safety. This is about people's lives. All of you fly. Your family flies. Why hasn't it been done? And the problem is, in government, it takes way too long. So technology changes and money changes and administrations change. We have to do this fast, which is why we need the partnership from the Congress to give us the money up front. The best ideas and the best technology available in the world, we're going to build in the system. I think, Mr. President, we can do it in 3 years. I think Trump Tower was built in 3 or 3.5 years. I think we could match the Trump Tower timeframe?
2 years.
Okay.
2 years.
Maybe not that good.
Actually, 18 months to be exact.
About 3 years, and again, you have to choreograph because again, our towers are operational, keeping planes in the air. So we've got to choreograph this, but we can do it in short order. If I could just make one other point, Mr. President, we're $36 trillion in debt. You've never had a Doge. We've never come in and looked at our government the way, Mr. President, you've looked at this government and said, there's too many people, there's contracts, fraud, waste, and abuse. And so we've had a few bumps in the road as we've gone through this process, but if you look around this room, everybody has seen how the process has evolved, and everyone appreciates some of the insight and technical support that we've gotten to make this government more efficient, to make it more responsive to the American people. And so, again, when you have a new system like this, you'll get some bumps. But things are rolling out. The last 3 weeks have been much, much better as our teams have integrated and we're working to deliver for the American people. And honestly, some of the press had made comments last time about what happened in the last meeting. We had a great conversation in the last meeting. Elon and I had a great call after the meeting, and so sometimes the reporting can be a little bit off. I love the analysis that you guys do when you're not in the room. But I would just note that we're working well together, Mr. President, and the whole team here is working well together.
Well, actually, we decided to see you after the cabinet meeting instead of before, and I think that's nice. But if you think about it, I guess never in history has anybody invited you to a cabinet meeting. We're very open and transparent, and we had a very good meeting today. So, I mean, you're standing here, you're seeing what the result of the meeting is. I think we're doing an amazing job for essentially 8 weeks on the job. I think it's there's never been anything like it. Did you have a question, please?
Two, actually, if you don't mind. And thank you for having us in here. We appreciate it. One, actually, to follow up on the Attorney General's comments, and then one for you. You said that you're now preparing to prosecute examples of fraud across federal agencies that have been referred to you. Is that what you said?
We are working with a team. We have a team of attorneys in place working with Elon's incredible team, helping us, taking referrals from the cabinet members. You know, these are your tax dollars. And a lot of it is just abuse, a lot of it's waste. But if it's fraud, we are investigating it, and we are looking at multiple cases of fraud throughout the federal government.
One for you, Mr. President. Greenland is confused about the Second Lady and the National Security Advisor visiting this week. They're concerned that this is further provocation of whatever it is you ultimately want for Greenland. Could you further explain why they're going? What is the ultimate end goal when it comes to Greenland?
Well, not provocation. This is friendliness, not provocation. We're dealing with a lot of people from Greenland that would like to see something happen with respect to their being properly protected and properly taken care of. They're calling us, we're not calling them. And we were invited over there, and I thought it would be I have great respect for the wife of our great Vice President. I think she's a brilliant woman. She's a very nice woman, and she loves the concept of Greenland. And so she's going there, and I think Marco's going there, and some others are going there. But we've been invited, and they really like the idea because they have been somewhat abandoned, as you know. They haven't been taken good care of. And I think Greenland's going to be something that maybe is in our future. I think it's important. It's important from the standpoint of international security. And if you look at the ships outside of Greenland, you have Russia, you have China, you have lots of different people and lots of different places, and it cannot go on the way it is. It's not going to go on the way it is. I'll make a statement. It's not going to happen. So they're going there, and that's purely friendship.
Who's doing the inviting? You said people.
A lot of people, yeah. People from Greenland are asking us to go there. We have many, many requests from many, many people, some officials too.
Mr. President,
yes,
I ask
please.
you about economic forecast. I saw one economic forecast coming out from the OECD this past week. They are forecasting stagflation for the United States, a downtick in terms of GDP growth. Do you agree with that forecast? What do you see over the course of 2025 for our country?
Well, we inherited a very, very bad and perilous situation from a group of people. Again, we just got here from a group, and this takes a long time to develop, from a group of people that truly didn't know what they were doing. And you see that with not only costs, you see that with all of these fake contracts that have been given out. So we inherited a bad situation, but I think we're going to have an economy that booms. I think when it all kicks in, it's not going to take very long, because some of these people that announce that they're going to spend billions of dollars, I mean, literally, Apple is spending $500 billion. They've never made anything close to that to do that. They're building plants here instead of China, instead of other places. When it all happens, and it's going to happen very soon, these are people that are already, in many cases, they're already starting. They just announced. In some cases, they announced, but they actually started before the announcement, as you know, because some are already building. This is going to kick in. I think it's going to be amazing. So they're looking at, based on numbers that I was looking at 6 months ago, 7 months ago, I was very concerned about the economy. We're going to have something that's like nobody's ever seen before. We have numbers, and we have job generation that I don't think we've ever seen before. See how it works out, but I think the economy is going to go through the roof.
Mr. President,
Yeah,
also,
please.
sir, about Ukraine, in an interview with Time Magazine published this morning, President Zelensky said he believes that some members of your team have been influenced by Russian information. Those were his words. What do you have to say to that?
Well, probably they have been influenced to get this thing settled, because Ukraine wants to see it settled. I think they have to have it settled, and Russia wants to see it settled. And I think if I weren't president, this would never happen. Marco's doing a great job, and Steve Witkoff has been incredible. Michael Waltz. We have a great group of people working on it, and that takes a good part of their day, settling something that really, well, it affects us monetarily because we've given so much money, and we're getting that done. In fact, Scott is telling me that the agreement on rare earths is just about completed. They'll sign it shortly. So it's, as you know, Europe is in for a very small fraction of what we're in for. It affects them much more than it affects us. Again, they are in as a loan, which nobody knew until I came along. Europe is giving the money to Ukraine as a loan. We were just pouring money into Ukraine. It's a very unfair situation. So we made a deal on rare earths. But most importantly, we want to stop the killing that's going on. 2,500 on average, mostly soldiers, a week are being killed. And they're Russian and they're Ukrainian. And if we can stop it, that's a very important thing to me on a human basis. Okay, anybody else?
Are you signing the rare earths deal today? Is that what you mean?
No, we'll be signing it soon.
So how's Ukraine?
It'll be signed very soon.
China. Another question on Ukraine. You
Yeah.
recently mentioned the fate of all the Ukrainian children abducted and transported to Russia.
Right.
So are you demanding that Russia return these kids to their families in Ukraine?
Well, it's one of the things that we're talking about. I know that no decision's been made. We're talking about territory right now. We're talking about lines of demarcation. We're talking about power plant ownership. Some people are saying the United States should own the power plant and then work it that way because we have the expertise to fix it up, et cetera, et cetera. It's okay. That would, something like that would be fine with me. But they are talking about ownership of the big nuclear power plant in particular. But all of these things will come up, and they have come up, and that has been discussed, yes. Okay, I want to thank everybody very much. This was a great meeting. These are phenomenal people. We're lucky to have them. I have to tell you, I want to thank you all. And Elon, I want to thank you. I know you've been through a lot with this horrible situation that happens. It's no, it's a very unfair. What he is a patriot. Here's a man that I can tell you, he's a friend of mine. He's become a friend of mine. He supported me in the election. That's when I got to know him. Really, I knew him a little bit from the first term, but not much. But he's a patriot more than anything else. He's never think of it. He has never asked me for a thing. He could have. I always say, I wonder if he's ever going to ask me for something. And that's always subject to change. And if it does change, I'll let you know about it. But Elon has never asked me for a thing. I mean, I got rid of the electric car mandate. I have no idea how that affects him, but possibly not good. I don't know. But he's never asked me for a thing. And I think that's an amazing tribute. I did get activated last week when I saw what they were doing. I said, he makes an incredible product, and we're going to go out and tell people you can't do that stuff and support him. They got to support him, because if he wasn't doing this, he wouldn't have any of these difficulties. And I think it's getting less and less. Pam has done a great job with regard to all of the, I mean, I know the kind of investigations that are going on. If she finds them, which she will, she already found 4 of them.
She will.
But I think they're going to suffer very grave consequences, because they're really terrorists when you think about it. They're terrorists at a high level. And I think the people that are financing them, they could very well be people I know, people that you write about. But those people are in big trouble. So they better cut it out. But Elon's a patriot. We want to thank you very much for the job you're doing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Sir, how many more press do you expect in the federal force? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to also say thanks to all the Doge team who are getting death threats on a daily basis. Just trying to do the right thing for the American taxpayer, for the American people. Just a thank you to the Doge team who are literally getting death threats and being accosted. And these are, a lot of them are just kids. They're just trying to help out, and they're very talented. They could get jobs for millions of dollars a year. Instead, they come here, earn peanuts, and get death threats. So thanks to the Doge team.
Thank you.
A little bit of bonus coverage here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez alongside Robert McNeely. We're expecting the governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, to meet with the president at the Roosevelt Room, but got diverted in a good way to the cabinet meeting there, one of a few that have happened already since President Trump took office. But also next up for the president will be that meeting with the governor of Louisiana.
Yes, an all-star group today, really laying out all of the great successes in 60-plus days and everything else that is on the agenda. And President Trump mentioning towards the end there with Elon Musk and that great hat he has that says Trump was right about everything. He said he hasn't asked me for a single thing. He's a true patriot. And of course, Elon praising the Doge team. They have really surrounded themselves with some of the best. And we are seeing that in real time on a daily basis at the White House and, of course, the agencies surrounding him and those agencies that are likely to go out into the United States. I'm very excited to see. I don't think Ms. Rollins covered that as much in depth this time. They were sharing some of what they canceled with the queer and transgender mandates and issues against farmers and ranchers. But I'm sure we could see some of these agencies actually go into the interior of the United States, perhaps, instead of just being
update about 15 hours ago. It's weekly credit card update. A pilot He's live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're rolling with the punches, of course. 2:14 Eastern Time. We were just talking about Doge and the fact that there are so many programs that Doge are working on to cut that waste, fraud, and abuse. As you are looking live here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, of course, we just had some bonus coverage of the cabinet meeting with President Trump and that all-star cast of cabinet members. How awesome. What a powerful team of people, huh?
Well, they really are. Great group of individuals, and President Trump really taking time seemingly with everyone at their own departments, and specifically with Kelly Loeffler at Small Business Administration, also Linda McMahon as Secretary of Education. they went into these roles to shrink, if not eliminate, their entire departments. And we saw the beginning of that for the education department being brought back to the United States for localities, school districts, also states to ultimately choose what they do with their education. And how refreshing is that? We had the Carter administration brought in the education department and bloated that up in the federal government, not only spending so much money, but really not caring for the education of each and every student throughout the country, but rather really serving teachers' unions instead of the taxpayer. This is something that President Ronald Reagan wanted to rid the federal government of, and President Trump seeing that through. So we'll see perhaps more legislation to follow that up, but President Trump has gotten the ball rolling, and it was great to see him surrounded by students, and they got to sign their own form of executive order, and some of the students holding it up as he does with his executive order. So that was a very cute moment last week, if you caught that coverage.
Yeah, I mean, the coverage, it's wall-to-wall coverage here at the network, as we're seeing even now the State Department having a press briefing, so maybe we can go to that in just a minute. But it's 2:16 Eastern time, of course, awaiting President Trump's meeting with the Louisiana governor. Of course, we just saw the cabinet meeting there. And then a little bit later from now, another live broadcast will be with us here at Right Side for a Greek Day Independence celebration. And President Trump will be at that at the East Room of the White House. So a lot of coverage coming up here on Right Side. We also just interviewed a few people while the cabinet meeting was going, as we had them lined up for lives, but we could record them, and we'll be throwing to those as those are ready as well. So again, 2:16, Monday, March 24th. Thanks so much for joining us here, streaming live with us wherever you're watching right now. As you see there, the president will be meeting with the governor of Louisiana. That's the Roosevelt Room. Why don't we take you there live right now, as it looks like President Trump will be stepping in at any moment.
That kind of thing.
Well, I think that it's
Been there earlier. There's nice growth out there. Yeah. Because we've known each other. Yeah, thanks. One constant. One constant. Little did you know.
All All right, so we saw the 2-minute warning there by one of the White House staff, so we'll be seeing the president at any minute. 2:20 live Eastern time, of course, at the White House. Looking forward to seeing the president here. And then also a second event later today for this Greek Independence Day celebration. So it'll be quite awesome to watch that as well.
Oh, yes. And what a day to celebrate. I really love the Roosevelt Room. I mean, a beautiful portrait of Teddy Roosevelt, the Rough Rider himself, who paved that way for a great nation during a tumultuous time, during growth, and someone who really characterized that populist spirit in that turn of the century to the 20th century, and someone who also believed in gold and silver. And you can get that by going to Colonial Metals Group, and you should do so today, freegoldguy.com/RSBN. Scan that QR code now, or go to that website I just mentioned, once again, freegoldguy.com/RSBN. No one does it better in the business, Colonial Metals Group.
It's your answer to those BRICS nations that are saying, hey, they want to use their own currencies like Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Instead, you can go to gold and silver, especially in your savings and retirement accounts, and have it in the high value of gold and silver. And that's even while Maganomics continues to go on the upswing and things get hopefully cheaper and more cheaper as we go. But still, gold and silver, great backup plan. So a tax-sheltered IRA, 401k, all tax-free. All you have to do is go to freegoldguy.com/RSBN. As it's 2:21 here on this Monday, March 24th, awaiting the president there. And looking forward to seeing this event here. And specifically, I have not heard the details as to why this meeting's happening today.
Yes, and we could see some business people with him in the room. And every day there seems to be a new good surprise with this administration, so much that they are tackling on a regular basis. And really coming out of this weekend, think of the F-47. That was a secret operation really over the course of the last several years. And it's almost harking back to Top Gun Maverick. They talked about the next-gen fighters. This is the 6th-gen fighter that is now available. Even some of the front of it really not fully revealed because it actually goes faster than the speed of sound. So this is a great new thing that we have, and President Trump said himself, God forbid we have a war, especially a war against China, we would be able to defend ourselves. And that gives me a sense of relief. And this was a plane first flown in 2007. So you never know with President Trump, he knows how to hang on to that suspense and then announce it at the correct time, of course, with Secretary Pete Hegseth and Air Force generals in the Oval Office just last weekend. And now, of course, more business prowess, of course, the Speaker of the House there as well to join Governor Landry, both Louisianans.
Exactly. F-47, going to be quite awesome to see that. Maybe there'll be some more images out there. I did see a few, but it's still awesome to see that happen just last week. And if you miss any of these live events or coverage like what Robert's referring to there, I'll go to Rumble or YouTube and check it out and watch it on replay. I know a number of you are here live right now on this Monday, March 24th, as we have the start of another week of winning and making America great again. And we're seeing it every day coming out of that White House there. So we'll be seeing what will be happening this week. I know a few of the White House staff in Greenland this weekend. We saw Usha Vance, of course, the wife of our vice president there. And we'll see how that goes with acquiring the country of Greenland. We'll see if that comes to pass. But at the end of the day, we know a lot of things going on when it comes to Tesla out there, too. Some of the protests that have been happening, but those are starting to wane off because when you start seeing the law and order increase, and they say that these penalties are going to be very severe, then they stop doing it.
Well, they're premeditated actions. And again, why would you want to harm someone's private property? And it's also incredibly stupid because if you go and harm a Tesla on the dealership lot, first of all, you're going to be on camera a lot, especially if you're in the major cities, right? You have that first and foremost. But Tesla has around 9 different cameras just surrounding or inside the vehicle in and of itself. You will be on candid camera doing such, and you're looking at 20 plus years. So, whether it's that or whether it's Congresswoman, Jasmine Crockett really threatening Elon Musk and other members of this administration, Attorney General Pam Bondi is just not going to tolerate it. Neither is this cabinet. We've seen Secretary Kristi Noem, who has joined our great ICE agents on the ground. When's the last time a cabinet member has done something like that to make sure that the American people are safe? So whether it's Homeland Security, the Justice Department, the big boys and girls are now in charge. It's not this ideological far-left woke mind virus that we saw in the last administration.
Yeah, so the weakness and the chaos is out, and we've got the strength and law and order and peace through strength in. And thank God we don't have someone like Governor Hochul running the government in the sense of the federal government, because she just said, quote, "We're not going to allow this mass deportation." She says that on a David Pakman show, Breaking 911, holding that post there 36 seconds ago. Not going to allow this mass deportation. Well, you are a governor of a state, the federal government. When it comes to mass deportations, ICE is everywhere, including in New York State. And isn't it interesting that the ICE agents in New York, they look at this governor and she says, "We're not going to allow this mass deportation." The ICE guys are probably laughing.
Well, I mean, she's breaking the law. It's Section 8 of U.S. Code 1324. They are harboring illegal aliens. Plain and simple. So that's why the Justice Department under Pam Bondi has issued those lawsuits now against the Empire State, also the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. If you will not allow ICE and Tom Homan and Kristi Noem to go in and retrieve these people and send them back to their country of origin or to face justice for breaking the law, then you are in turn doing that as well. And we know, per our Constitution, that even elected officials are not above the law. So, Governor Hochul, we hope you change your mind about this, but also what's to lose really in the process? Because why is it such an ideological battle, seemingly? It's about the safety and the prosperity of your residents, your citizens in your state. And we know that Laken Riley suffered and died a terrible, horrible murder at the University of Georgia in Athens when her offender was actually in New York for a period of time. He could have been caught and deported while in the Empire State. If I was leading that, I'd feel terrible about a situation that was thrown to another state, of course, the Peach State of Georgia, reeling from that terrible situation that has made us all terribly sad. And this is all preventable crime at the end of the day.
I still can't believe when President Trump spoke on March 4th to that joint session of Congress, all those basic human things that were happening, support for people, and that the Democrat leadership couldn't even stand up to clap or couldn't support anything that was very basic to humanity. So we know that's who we're dealing with when it comes to the leadership of the Democrat Party. If you even want to call it that, there's really not much left going now. Let's go to President Trump right now in Washington, D.C.
Hello.
Another big win for Louisiana.
A great speaker. Nice to see you. Mr. President. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Hello, everybody. Okay, we have a beautiful announcement to make. It's very exciting. Money is pouring in, and we want to keep it that way. And I think that's what's going to happen. We have tremendous interest in our country, more than ever before. There's never been anything like it. We're almost at a $4 trillion level, and that's something that's never happened. And I think hopefully it's because of the election on November 5th, but it's also because of tariffs, I suspect, Governor. But I'm thrilled to welcome Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, a friend of mine for a long time, and to have you at the White House. And we thought this was going to happen, and I said, if you get it signed up, we'll do it at the White House, and you got it all done. I'm proud of you. Not surprised. Executive Chairman of Hyundai Motor Group, Jung E-sun. Thank you very much. What a great honor. Vice Chairman Jay Chang. Jay, thank you. Hyundai Steel President Soo Gang Hyun. Thank you very much, President. That's big stuff. And former Ambassador Sung Kim. Thank you very much. Great honor to have all of you. Also, and these names are much less difficult for me, but I think we got them right. But this one we will definitely get right. Mike Johnson, our great speaker, and he's been doing a real job. Right, Mike? He went through a lot, and he's stronger than ever. Louisiana Speaker Philip Duvalier. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Senate President Cameron Henry, State Representative Ken Brass, State Senator Ennie Lambert, and Ascension Parish President Clint Coint-Ment. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Great honor. Great to have you with us. Today we're delighted to report that Hyundai is announcing a major $5.8 billion investment in American manufacturing. In particular, Hyundai will be building a brand new steel plant in Louisiana, which will produce more than 2.7 million metric tons of steel a year, creating more than 1,400 jobs for American steelworkers. And then there'll be major expansion after that. This will be Hyundai's first ever steel mill in the United States, one of the largest companies in the world, by the way, supplying steel for its auto parts and auto plants in Alabama and Georgia, which will soon produce more than 1 million American-made cars every single year. The cars are coming into this country at levels never seen before. Get ready. This investment is a clear demonstration that tariffs very strongly work, and I hope other things also, but the tariffs are bringing them in at levels that have not been witnessed. Hyundai will be producing steel in America and making its cars in America, and as a result, they'll not have to pay any tariffs. You know, there are no tariffs if you make your product in America, so it's something that's why so many people are coming. As you know, we have from Taiwan, the biggest chip manufacturer in the world, is coming in with $200 billion, and we have a lot of people coming and plants coming and companies coming that never would have been here, never would have even thought about it. The new steel plant in Louisiana is part of an even larger $21 billion investment Hyundai will be making in the United States over the next couple of years. The company will also be massively increasing its auto manufacturing in Georgia and investing billions of dollars in advanced American technology companies. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask the executive chairman to say a few words, and it's a great honor to have Hyundai, a truly great company. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak here today, and thank you for the invitation. And congratulations on the remarkable start to your new term.
It's been good.
All right.
It's been a great one.
So Hyundai Motor entered the U.S. 1986. Since then, we have invested over $20 billion and now support more than 570,000 American jobs across all 15 states. Today, I'm pleased to announce an additional $21 billion in a new investment over the next 4 years, our largest U.S. invest ever. A key part of this commitment is our $6 billion investment to strengthen the U.S. supply chain from steel and parts to automobiles. We are especially excited about Hyundai Steel's multi-billion investment in a new facility in Louisiana, which will create 1,300 American jobs and serve as the foundation for a more self-reliant and secure automotive supply chain in the U.S. To mark this milestone, we are honored to visit President Trump alongside Governor Landry and Speaker Johnson and Leader Scalise, deepening our partnership with the United States and reinforcing our shared vision for American industrial leadership. And this week, we are also proud to open our new $8 billion auto plant in Georgia. With this, our U.S. vehicle production will exceed 1 million units per year, as President mentioned. Our decision to invest in Savannah, Georgia, creating more than 8,500 American jobs, was initiated during my meeting with President Trump in Seoul in 2019.
Right.
Yeah, and after that, 2020 in Davos, I mentioned about the new plant. So American Jobs was initiated during at the time. Now, as we proudly mark the completion of this transformative project, coincides with the beginning of President Trump's second term, making this moment even more special.
Thank you.
Yeah. Furthermore, HMG will purchase $3 billion worth of U.S. LNG to support America's energy industry and enhance our energy security. All of these efforts will accelerate the localization of our supply chain in the U.S., expand our operations, and grow our American workforce. With your leadership, Mr. President, Hyundai Motor Group is proud to be a stronger partner in America's industrial future. I'd like to personally invite you to visit one of our state-of-the-art manufacturing facility and see firsthand our commitment to the United States and our American workers.
Right.
So thank you to our American partners and employees and communities. We are really proud to stand with you and proud to build the future together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thought maybe we have our great speaker, and we have two very good friends, Mike and Steve, and you come from a certain state that we're talking about right now that we love, and I've done very well there. I've always won by a lot. I love that state, so I was happy to hear about it. That's why I said, come on over. But Mike, would you and Steve like to say a few words, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. We're excited. It was mentioned earlier what a great start we've had to your second term, and we're just getting started. Everyone should know that. There'll be more of this because it's the policies that are bringing about the great growth, and it's about leadership. And we have a strong new leader back in the White House, and it makes a big difference because everybody around the world is seeing that, and everyone around the country is applauding it. We were on district work period last week, and Steve Scalise and I and our colleagues were traveling around the country doing campaign events, raising money, doing all the things that are necessary to ensure that we keep the House majority for the Republican Party. And I'll just tell you, I was in multiple states over the last week, and everywhere I went, Mr. President, people are excited. There's this great sense of relief, almost euphoria out there, because they know that America's back. This is the America First agenda. We're so grateful for these great friends with Hyundai to invest in Louisiana. We have extraordinary leadership on the state level, and leadership makes a big difference. We're so grateful to be a part of this. We want to tell you all this is a great investment in Louisiana and in America. More to come. Thank you so much. Steve?
Well, thank you again, Mr. President, for opening up the White House to this great group. Governor Landry has brought the same kind of energy to the governor's mansion in Louisiana that President Trump has brought to the nation in the White House. Some people marvel at President Trump's stamina. Over the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, we spoke by phone on some different legislative initiatives that we're working on with Speaker Johnson to continue moving the agenda forward. Those very things that President Trump ran on, he's delivering for the American people. And this announcement by Hyundai is one more example of how that agenda that President Trump ran on to make America first again is working for the American people. When you talk about 1,300 plus really good jobs in Louisiana, those are all American workers. That's billions of investment coming in from Hyundai into the United States that would not have been here without President Trump's leadership. And I think people know that. They see it. It's been a long time coming, but we applaud the work that Hyundai is doing with Governor Landry to come to our state. But for President Trump, we're seeing this all across the nation, and we're just getting started. A lot more to come, Mr. President.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions, please? Yeah, please.
The size of the investment, partly because of tariffs. On April 2nd, the reciprocal tariffs will go into effect. Is it truly reciprocal? Are there some countries that might get a break or some sectors that might get a break?
Well, I may give a lot of countries breaks, but it's reciprocal, but we might be even nicer than that. We've been very nice to a lot of countries for a long time, but I call it Liberation Day. April 2nd is Liberation Day. But today, as you know, we did something with respect to Venezuela. You heard about that, and that will be quite important. we'll be announcing some additional tariffs over the next few days, having to do with automobiles, cars, and having also to do a little bit with lumber down the road, lumber and chips. We're going to get all those chip companies coming back. They're already coming back without even doing it. So it's been very good. But we'll be announcing some others. But for the most part, April 2nd will be a big day. That'll be Reciprocal Day. And we'll be bringing some of the money back that's been taken from us. Let's be nice by using the word taken. I don't want to use a stronger word because these guys are professional politicians, and they don't like to hear those words. I refuse to use the word stolen from us, but that's a...
Are you seeing that negotiation?
It happened. Well, the European Union lowered their tariffs to 2.5%. We were only at 2.5% for cars, which is very low. And as you probably heard, that European Union lowered their number from much higher than that, many, many times higher, surprise to 2.5%. So that was good. But I don't know that I expect that. It's up to them. But we have reciprocal tariffs.
President, your reaction to the story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Right. Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time. Anybody else?
This announcement on Hyundai, is this a blueprint for you for other automakers to come to the United States to do what Hyundai was doing and investing so much in Louisiana and creating these new jobs?
Absolutely. That's a nice question from you. That's a shocking question, how nice it is, huh? That's okay. That's a question that's a good question, actually. Yeah, sure. Hyundai's a great company. We have other great companies coming in, and we have some that are going to be staying here and very much expanding. And we have tremendous interest in every business. I can't just say automobiles, but automobiles is a big one. And yeah, this is the beginning of a lot of things happening. We've had, as you know, Apple's announced a $500 billion investment, and other companies have announced $250, $300 billion. But we're well into the $3 and $4 trillion mark, which has never happened to our country before. What it really means is jobs. All we care about is jobs, right? We care about quality and quality of life and safety and security, but we care about jobs. And they're going to have we have a lot of people coming in.
Governor Landry, if I may, Governor Landry, I'd love to ask Governor Landry a question, if you don't mind. How did you convince Hyundai to come to your great state? How did you convince them to come to Louisiana?
It was easy. I told them we were going to have a great president this year, right? Look, I think that this is Americans seeing the America First policy in action, right? It's not just promises, it's about action. And not only and I appreciate their patience because all last year, many of these legislators, the Speaker and the Senate President, we worked on making Louisiana as friendly for business as the president is making America. We worked on public safety. We worked on education reform, which the president's been working on. We worked on tax reform, historic tax reform. And what I can tell you is to echo what the president said, in Louisiana right now, I believe before the summer's over, we'll have $50 billion worth of construction projects going on in Louisiana. That is a record, Mr. President. It has never happened under any other president, under any other administration. And I can only look at the leadership that he has brought, not only to the White House, but to the world as well. And so to have these executives come here and say, hey, we want to invest in America, because for decades now, what Americans have seen is jobs being offshored rather than onshored. And today's announcement is exactly that. This is a message for all America that this president and their governors out there care about the American worker.
Mr. President, on your Venezuela tariffs, and I have to tell you that if you have any trouble getting permits, which you won't, come see me. I'll get them for you immediately. All right? But you're not going to have any trouble. You know, we had, when I first got involved in this world of politics, when I went down to Louisiana, you know, the two big LNG plants, and they were stuck for 14 years. They tried to get permits, and these were $12 billion and I think $15 billion plants. And they were working on it for 14 years in one case, I think 13 or 14 in the other. And I was able to get them in less than a week. And they were shocked. And probably some consultant got a lot of money for doing it, but nobody spoke to me about it other than this gentleman at the time. He mentioned it, and he did. They were in very much different positions, but they wanted to see if we could break the logjam, and I got it done. In one case, I actually got it done in one day, and the other case, I didn't do as well. It took a full week. And they built, and they're up, and they're very successful now. That was a long time ago, but we got it done immediately. You'll have no trouble getting your permits, I guarantee. These people you're dealing with are top of the line. Okay? But just in case, call me.
On the Venezuela tariffs that you announced earlier today, sir,
yes.
You said it's 25% for any country that does business
That's right.
with Venezuela.
If they buy their oil from Venezuela, they have to pay a 25% tariff to do business with the United States.
Is that on top of existing tariffs? So, for example, China buys
Yes,
a lot of oil.
that would be on top of it existing.
45%
That would
tariffs
mean,
on China
yep,
next week?
that's on top of existing tariffs, yes.
And so also next week, April 2nd, as you said, Liberation Day. Is that going to be sector tariffs as well as reciprocal tariffs?
It's going to be everything, yeah. It's going to be everything, but not all tariffs are included that day. For instance, we'll do some. As you know, we have already done steel and aluminum, and that's at a 25% level. And we are going to be doing automobiles, which you've known about for a long time. We'll be announcing that fairly soon, over the next few days probably. And then April 2nd comes. That'll be reciprocal tariffs. But we may take less than what they're charging because they've charged us so much. I don't think they could take it. In other words, they've charged us so much that I'm embarrassed to charge them what they've charged us. But it'll be substantial. And you'll be hearing about that on April 2nd. And it will be Liberation Day because we'll be taking in large amounts of money for our country, and that's lower taxes and all of the things that are good, and jobs, a lot of jobs.
And what's your message to the big corporate clients of the big law firms that you've targeted with your executive orders? Do you want those big corporate clients to find new lawyers?
I just think that the law firms have to behave themselves, and we've proven that. We have others that want to make a settlement also. They, having to do with the election and other things, they behave very badly, very wrongly, and I appreciate the one, these are the biggest firms, and they all came back realizing that they did wrong, and that's why they're doing this. So I just think they have to behave. We have to straighten out our country. We have to straighten out our elections. Our elections are very dishonest, very corrupt, and we have to straighten it out, and it's so easy to do it, and we should go to paper ballots. We should go to one-day voting. We should go to voter ID, and just one other thing, proof of a thing called citizenship in the United States. Wouldn't that be nice? How simple does that sound? Proof of citizenship, voter ID, one-day voting, and paper ballots. Paper ballots are very secure. They have watermark paper. It's very intricate stuff. It's very technologically advanced, even though it's paper. And you'd have no trouble. You wouldn't have dishonest elections, and you'd have them all done by 10 o'clock in the evening. France went to that, and not that I want to copy anybody, but many others have also. And they had 38 million votes, and it was all done at 10 o'clock. They had a winner, they had a loser. That was it. Nobody was complaining. And they had it backed up with paper. And it's so easy to do. The other thing, you'd save about, this would cost you about 8% of what the machines cost. So the paper would be much less expensive. So if you're looking to save some money, that's a good way to save it. So it's a shame that we've gone through it. We've gone through a bad election, a really bad election. The election was so bad. And think of it. You wouldn't have had the October 7th disaster with Israel. You wouldn't have had Russia and Ukraine, because that would have never happened. You wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had the type of withdrawal from Afghanistan that you witnessed, which was probably one of the primary reasons that Russia went into Ukraine. They saw that mess, how badly it was handled. They said, wow, this is a paper tiger that was handled by incompetent people. But that wouldn't have, we would have been out, but we would have kept Bagram, the big air base, which is 1 hour away from China where they make their nuclear weapons. Would have been nice to have it, but now, you know who has it now? China has it. And so an honest election, and we wouldn't have had inflation. You had the record-setting inflation. We wouldn't have had inflation. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to congratulate Hyundai, a great company, and we will do everything possible. And I will say you picked a fantastic state. You're really with tremendous people and tremendous leaders. And Speaker, I want to thank you for doing a great job. You and Steve, thank you very much.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it, Steve. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Violated the Espionage Act, sir.
Thank you very much, everybody.
If you get a briefing on that, would you let us know, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some great things happening in our nation's capital and the state of Louisiana.
Those raging Cajuns getting that new Hyundai plant along with Savannah, Georgia. So this region of the country here, the Southeast, really where it's at for manufacturing, for steel production as well. Think about a time to be selling steel, Matthew. This will be an incredible opportunity for not only thousands of American workers, but those looking to have great new opportunities in the South United States. So very exciting to see this. And again, President Trump said, you'll be sick of the winning. Billions and billions of dollars being announced by Hyundai today to this corner of the beautiful United States. And I'm a proud driver of Hyundai myself. So great vehicles. Go out and get one.
Definitely. All right, so 2:51 Eastern Time. Thanks so much for streaming in with us. We have another stream starting in just a bit. It's a Greek Independence Day celebration at the East Room of the White House. Be quite fun for you to join us there on that. Before we go there, Colonial Metals Group, would like to thank them for being a great sponsor here. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Also, Tax Network USA, 800-357-1415.
Of course, tnusa.com/RSBN. So crucial as we approach April 15th. Settle your back taxes today and get the IRS off your back. That is Tax Network USA, tnusa.com/RSBN.
Angelpaste.com. Use the RSBN promo code. Get a great product. There's other products there as well. Angelpaste.com. Let's move on to American Financing. All you have to do is go to AmericanFinancing.net and you'll get everything you need to know about home loans, refinancing, and how to save that an average of $800 per month. Let's move on to one product or one sponsor that you've never heard of before, MyPillow.com.
We love Mr. Mike Lindell and, of course, the spring sheet sale, Giza Dream sheets, and many more for save 50% off or more by going to MyPillow.com/RSBN. Of course, up to 50% off everything. We're talking about 2,000 different items. I mean, Mr. Mike Lindell, what a purveyor of freedom of speech, and the 250th anniversary of Patrick Henry's immortal words, that Second Virginia Conference on Religious Liberty. He's quite the guy for a time such as this. So go to mypillow.com/RSBN, support a great American company.
And if you'd like to support another great American company, Right Side Broadcasting Network, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. So just RSBN to 801-801. Also, we have that newsletter.
Yes, and that is rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. Great writers here on staff at this beautiful network. And you can get everything in the written word in case you can't tune in for a broadcast. Of course, you can always go back and scrub that, but nice to read it as well. So we produce that on a regular basis, and you won't miss a moment when you sign up for notifications as well via your favorite social media site or right there at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. It'll come right to your inbox.
We're just getting started here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We have another live stream coming your way from the East Room of the White House. For Robert McNeely, I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you in a minute.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk
from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.